What's happening? Look, I was sitting here. I'm gonna let you get a look at my notes real quick. Like basically in the Bible, man, it describes like sin makes put you into bondage. And like it sounds kind of like it's like hypothetical or something, but no, it's so literal. It's sickening, especially now. It's so apparent in the in light of modern, revelations, okay? Look, there's a part where he says, stop abusing yourselves with mankind, or back when you used to abuse yourself with mankind. And it's like, look, like abuse is so prevalent in this culture. It's like basically the glue that holds everything together is the threat of like this terrorism. Like you're going to be abused, or like you'll be made fun of. And people will think weirdly about you, and it's like that keeps so many people in line in a way. So that's just the way things work anyway. But it's like, and I've noticed this trend of the more cooperation with foreign government, there has been an increase in human trafficking. You see, when I grew up, there was always people on milk cartons and people that disappeared and whatnot, but these days it's really like prevalent for coyotes to be bringing people in, taking people freaking out. Like you hear all these rumors and stuff. It's like, look, it's always kind of been that way with the smuggling game, I guess, but it's like it's really ramped up right now, and especially with the human trafficking for the sexual nature. Like in the Bible, this is mentioned where it's like, even in some cases, it's even certain tribes would sell off other tribes to like Grecians and Persians and Arabs. Even Joseph was sold by his brothers, right? So it's like there's this part where it talks about selling daughters for a pair of shoes, and then boys for wine, something like that. And it's kind of like a judgment on people when it gets that bad. Like, you know what I'm saying? And it's like this abusing yourselves with mankind. It's like, I remember growing up, and it was like everyone would kind of fling around, right? And it wasn't never really it was kind of like, okay, like we're supposed to fling our way, or fling and swing our way around through life. And there's all these like situations where of just where there was like it was just anything goes basically. And it's very like abusive kind of thing to go through, like when you get feelings for somebody, and then all of a sudden for it to flip around on you, and it's like turn into a totally yucky like thing that just hurts really bad, and it's all messed up, and it just really messes with your head and your heart. And now you're kind of walking around like, look, instantly it kind of puts like these chips. And there's this particular like method called bitchcraft, where it's called the princess programming. It's where through, like movies, they were programmed to think like there'd be some knight in shining armor that would come and rescue this damsel, and it was going to be a happy fairy tale life forever and ever. And these girls kind of grow up, with this princess attitude. And then when they find out what it's like in the real world, and like everyone's all messed up, and that doesn't exist, they turn into this hypersexual, domineering, lying, manipulative, like woman that will go and like, basically it's like kind of like being infected with the vampire. It's like, now that you've been bit, you go around like biting everybody else and infecting them with the sickness, basically. And it's like that's one thing about that abuse. It's there, the way people will say, yeah, I'm only with you, and then they'll go messing around, and then you find out later, and they lie to your face and all that stuff. And you yourself might even do this to people because it was done to you, or maybe you just were kind of, kind of advanced prematurely or whatever, dude. But because this is an art form where people get perfected at it, like it's a total con job, dude. Like people will con one another and just totally take advantage of them as if it's abuse. You might as well have beat them with a stick. because you done dug, like you maxed them out like a credit card and just threw them away and abandoned them. And that's this whole thing with this narcissistic abuse thing, the discard. Like, look, and when you leave that when you live that sleazy con man life, you're gonna do things like this, and they'll be done to you too. And when they are, you kind of deserve it. So it's a big cycle of gay peri that almost seems like it never ends. Unless someone decides to mature a little bit and just kind of like learn and like try to heal and like figure out what the problem was, or you know what I mean? It's like you got to start somewhere. But anyway, it's like, but this is more systematic than even that. Okay, it's like, okay, like you see the public divorce in the rag mags and all these like entertainment shows. Like, it's like they're broadcasting everyone's business. Like, look, you got Michael Jackson and Marie Presley are having a bad hair day and they're gonna get a divorce, right? Michael Jackson's psycho, and what's her name, flees and tear, right? Look, you got, there's these things that were so set up. Like, look, for instance, you got Kennedy and the Marilyn Monroe scandal, right? Like, this was public. Everyone knew about it. It was like broadcasted. And you got Clinton and Lewinsky, right? Also, I mean, look, this starts with this kind of Princess Diana thing too. Like, look, where this woman, like, look, there's this bad situation goes down, like for marriage, but no, these guys are all swingers that are in high society anyway. So it's like, look, this is only for public. This was a public kind of like cover story. Like, it's damage control. Like, look, none of this stuff is really real. It's just kind of like, it's like yellow journalism hyped up. It's basically propaganda, and they patsy people for ratings, basically, and to sell like stuff. So basically, it's like, but it's been done so systematically. Like, look, like basically, Princess Diana dies because of this thing. Like, basically, it seems like the paparazzi killed her. You know what I mean? You got that guy. What's his name? Wait, yeah. You got that guy, Randy Quaid, right? He makes this big thing about the industry's attacking me and they're trying to kill me and take all my money and lock up my bank account. And we got people, they're the star whackers. Anyway, it's like, kinda, you know what I'm saying? Cause you're famous now. It's like, they try to bully you, and it's like the mafia. They want you to pay your fire insurance. In other words, it's like, and if you don't want to pay, they're going to make your life hell. You know what I'm saying? It's like they don't burn down their business. Instead, they burn down your name, like, and look, and then blackball you so that you can't never work again in their industry, right? But this is in the Bible, bearing false witness. It's like, when you lie about somebody or try to cut them down, and I mean, that's a big thing about this whole thing is this right here. Look, it's putting down someone else to bring yourself up. That's like bullying, that's abuse, that's narcissistic abuse. And it's to prop up this ego, this false identity, this your all caps government name, the flesh. You know what I'm saying? It's like, sometimes to vamp somebody, you gotta take them, put them down so you can feel like you're higher than them. But really, the fact, if you gotta do that to prop this up, therein lies the truth that, wait, it's a sleazy con. It's a con. But it's like people abuse people to get some kind of feeling better about themselves because they're messed up. And basically, it's people suffering makes people feel better and get entertainment from abuse and punishment, such as in the times when they would publicly hang someone or chop off people's heads. Everyone would stand around, they would have orgies. That's another thing. Look, when you're out in public acting a fool, right, just letting it all hang out, and you're showing how loose you are, right, and like, especially if you're in a situation where you shouldn't, You know what I'm saying? Like these days you can get away with all that, dude. It's actually like it's in vogue to do such things, and we see shows like freaking Jerry Springer, and it's like people air out all their dirty laundry and give out their business, which is horrible, and people like laugh and have a good old time. It's because it makes you forget how whack your situation is, because it's like people, everyone's got like something that bothers them or they don't think's right, or that they're scared that other people would know about, right? And that's the type of thing that keeps this hole where this thing starts to build this false identity. And it's a defense mechanism because of these kind of things like that bother you, and you're afraid to be in the position of the person who is suffering, that people can feel better at your suffering. And I mean, people put you in these situations intentionally. They cast a stumbling block, aka bitchcraft. Like, for instance, this is a technique which is based also on this kind of Willie Lynch, which is to break up the family and make slaves through bondage. And a big part of it is literally through sexual bondage. Like, look, tying someone up and having sexual relations with them and like whipping them and beating a dude in front of his woman and letting the kids watch, and then knocking up his woman so the kid comes out a different color, and then like, look, then teaching him to hate his own dad, like type situation. That's bondage, because you're in a kind of a mental bondage, because you don't realize that you're being used and manipulated as a slave to attack other people and used as a weapon. And this all, nowadays it's in vogue to have this kind of like sadistic bondage relationships, you know. And it's like you know, it's like norm, and it's kind of almost like a rite of passage now to go and like be dragged through the mud through some sexual situation and get a sex tape dropped on you in a divorce, because it sells magazines, man. And you see it, you know, look, oh, Ben and wait, what is it? I can't remember. Brad Pitt and Jennifer Aniston break up again. Oh, look, they forgot to put on their makeup today. Like, look, and it's like it's broadcasted, and these people are like ran all through the mud in public, and it's kind of like this abuse that these people that's what they get paid to do, is be the ones who they abuse. Like, look, on the low hand, like praise and abuse. Like, it's like so sick and twisted. It's such a sadistic, sadomasochistic role-playing like game that they're doing with us too, and we play along sometimes. And I mean, it's like, this is it's like, man, it's so connected, all of it. And from the biblical narrative even to the, like, look, even right now in modern time, in the ragmag tip, it's like literally, it's like abusing yourself to mankind. It's like, look, your relationship with your woman should be between y'all to an extent, and the public should know that you're together. And look, that's about all you should need to know. And look, and you shouldn't just be blasting and gossiping people because it makes you feel better about your situation, or because you're already so messed up you don't care to keep putting yourself out there. It's like bad publicity. It's like bad attention. It's like they're attention freaks. They crave attention, like a narcissist. Attention, admiration is their, like, their, that's what they're going, that's the vampire's blood to them. And it's like they get it in a way, and but at the same time the people listening get desensitized to that. It's like it's all kind of abuse, and the gossip is kind of, in a way, bearing false witness. If you're, oh, it was true that I heard that, but what if what you heard was just kind of not all the way true, so you just repeating it when you could have just not even said anything at all and just waited, right? It's like you kind of, it tricks you into bearing false witness, which kind of entangles you a little bit. And also, by watching this shit, it makes it easier for us to be sleazy con men and loose people, man, and all caught up in all this nasty abuse and bondage.